So we are speaking about Ashwapati,
Yes.
and we're in Canto 5, the last great canto about Ashwapati's progress towards becoming a seer. In fact, he will be an avatar because it is Sri Aurobindo. So we first have this word omniscient, and
Uh-huh.
and Sri Aurobindo tells us in the Upanishads, the omniscient is not born nor dies, nor
Uh-huh.
has it come into being from anywhere, nor is he anyone. He is unborn. He is
Mhm.
constant and eternal. He is the Ancient of Days, who is
Mhm.
not slain in the slaying of the body. So let us begin.
Sure. An omniscient knowing without sight or thought, an indecipherable omnipotence.
Able,
Okay.
indecipherable. So
An
change the
in
A sound to a.
oh, okay. An indecipherable omnipotence, a mystic form that could contain the worlds, yet make one human breast its passionate shrine, drew him out of his seeking loneliness into the magnitudes of God's embrace.
Well, he has been seeking alone.
Mhm.
No one else has been with him. And this is really the story of Sri Aurobindo also.
Uh-huh.
Um, his seeking was, I believe, quite complete when Mother came.
Mhm. Mhm.
And she sat beside him on the floor, and he emptied her mind. So he had all these powers already. So this this extraordinary um, omnipotence, this mystic form, has made his human breast its passionate shrine, and therefore it drew him out of his seeking loneliness into the magnitudes of God's embrace. So we'll continue on now because we have a couple of terms here that I have to share with you.
Okay. As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out wide, blank, pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write.
So we have this timeless eye,
Mhm.
which could also be called the luminous eye. And I asked Alok and Jumor about it, so I'll share it with you. Alok says it is the eye of the divine that is filled with his own light and needs no external light to function. It comes down inspiring the prophet's tongue and revealing hidden things to the mind of the seer, but retires after a while. It does not stay permanently until the consciousness is transformed and the mind of man grows into the mind of a seer. And when I asked you more, she said, it is simply the tranquil witness consciousness. It watches all and is also tremendously strong. It is the static force, one of the two aspects of power, the other being the sword of flame. So it's very, very interesting. They seem to be a little different, and yet
Mhm.
both feeling authentic in their own
Yeah.
way.
So,
So
Narad sir, is it the Trikal Drushti or
uh, the timeless eye,
uh-huh.
no, I don't think that's quite
Oh,
it so far,
mm,
because You see, his wakened mind becomes an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. So we're not talking yet about tricologicity.
Okay, okay,
But carry on now, because
okay.
there's much more. Huh?
Sure. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load, a fire that seemed the body of a god, consumed the limiting figures of the past and made large room for a new self to live.
Note that Sri Aurobindo says our fallen consciousness was
Mhm,
taken from Ashwapati like a forgotten load. And so there's a colon there because he wants to continue three more lines. A
mhm,
fire that seemed the body of a god consumed the limiting figures of the past and made large room for a new self to live. And I think this is probably the transformation from
okay,
the ignorant human to the divine consciousness. So we'll continue on because there's still more.
sure. Eternity's contact broke the molds of sense. I think there's a period there, right?
Yeah, there
Do you
is
want?
there, right?
Okay,
And you can go on because this greater
sure,
force is important here.
sure. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered sheaths.
Yeah, so we'll
Strange.
just take that because we have to go into the next
Okay.
page now. So
Mhm,
you see, this contact with eternity broke all these sense molds that we have.
mhm,
And a greater force, even than the earthly, of course, because the earthly force is not that great,
mm,
and a force greater than that held his limbs, his limbs. And even these huge workings bared his undiscovered sheaths. So we all have sheaths of
mhm.
all kinds,
Yeah.
and they were undiscovered, and everything has been bared. Huh?
Mhm,
So we're
mhm.
on page now 82,
Right.
strange energies.
Yes.
Okay.
Strange energies wrought and screened tremendous hands, unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze.
The triple cord of mind. Huh? Very, very important. Um, I'll quote from the Life Divine for us. If there is a self in us capable of largeness and universality, able to enter into a cosmic consciousness, that too must be within our inner being.
Mm,
The outer consciousness is a physical consciousness, bound to its individual limits by the triple cord of mind, life, and body. That's the lower ignorant dimensions. Any external attempt at universality can only result either in an aggrandizement of the ego or an effacement of the personality by its extinction in the mass or
mm,
subjugation to the mass. So, any external attempt at universality is not going to work.
got
So,
you.
so it has to be occur in a different way, and we're going to see that now in Ashwapati.
Okay. As through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reached through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight. Period.
Sight, SIGHT.
SIGHT, yeah.
Okay, and then what's next?
Increased and heightened were the instruments.
As through a dress, we had the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's gaze.
Mhm.
You read that.
Yes.
Okay, so as through a dress, please. As
Okay.
through a
A-
dress,
As through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, they reach through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight.
okay, good. So,
Increased and heightened were the instruments.
yes,
I'll repeat that one more time.
yeah.
Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens, as from her failing hand the measures fell. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large.
Oh, amazing. Huh? So,
Mhm.
these, from her failing hand, the measures fell. And these things that look to us so large are just atomic. And now there's still a lot more yet.
Sure. The little ego's ring could join no more. In the enormous space of the self, the
Space,
body, okay,
space.
in the enormous spaces of the self, the body now seemed only a wandering shell. His mind, the many frescoed,
Fresco. No, frescoed.
frescoed, okay,
Yeah, think
his,
of code, CODE, frescoed.
okay,
A
sure.
frescoed is a painting on moist plaster. And
Oh,
these
okay,
pigments are dissolved in water. So his mind, um,
uh-huh.
his mind seemed a many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. Now his body is seeming only like a wandering shell. His mind is the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. And the last one to the full stop.
Okay. His mind, the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant, his spirit breath, a
No, breathe,
superhuman
breathe, breathe.
breathe. Okay. His spirit breathed a superhuman air.
So we see that he's already able to breathe a superhuman air. Wow. So
So the
this
mind
in
is like totally transformed. The body is just a
yes,
shell. Yeah,
and the imperishable inhabitant is the divine.
right.
Okay, so we'll go on a little more, and
Sure.
it's so beautiful.
Yes. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence as
So
with a sound.
what is this rent?
Uh, the mind that has transformed, did it?
No,
No.
rent me to rend something, to rent, to tear it, tear something.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Hear it.
so
Okay.
there seemed to be a magic fence
Mhm.
around the imprisoned deity, and it tore through.
Okay.
Good.
That's all making sense. Yeah.
And you
The
continue.
imprisoned, sure. Yeah. The imprisoned deity rent its magic fence as with a sound of thunder and of seas. Vast barriers crashed around the huge escape.
But you need to sort of not hesitate there around. Vast barriers crashed around the
Oh,
huge escape. See, you take a deeper breath.
uh-huh. Okay. As with a sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape.
You see how different it is, huh?
Yes.
Big. Good. Now, the next word is coeval. Coeval.
Well,
And it means a contemporary of the same period or the same age, same era.
immutably coeval with the world, circle and end of every hope and toil, inexorably
No,
drawn,
inexorably.
inexorably,
No,
obli,
no, inexorably.
inexorably,
Yes, that's it.
inexorably, okay, inexorably drawn around thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves beneath the incarnate's thread.
Okay, so some real problems here. Incarnate? No, incarnate. Yeah,
Incarnate.
very
Okay.
often you sound the A like
A,
an
yeah.
instead of a. So
Okay.
we have to change. Now, the fixed, immovable peripheries. First of all, we have this inexorable. Inexorable means relentless.
Mm-hmm.
So, inexorably drawn round thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries, these outside edges,
Mm-hmm.
efface themselves beneath the incarnate's tread. So, there's no more holding him back. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
incarnate is the one who is embodied in flesh. And that's what the definition of the incarnate, one
Mm-hmm.
who is embodied in flesh.
Okay.
And we'll do a little bit more and then you'll have to read because there are difficult words here, challenging words.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
On the next line, it's Vale,
No,
Villan, uh-huh.
no, velamen.
Villaman. Okay.
Velamen. It's a covering, a
Villam.
membranous covering. We have it on the roots of orchids. They're covered with a just like a membranous covering that can absorb the water or the food
Okay.
just from the roots. They don't get it from anything else. So now
Mm.
the dire, of course, is this desperate, this urgent velamen,
Mm-hmm.
and the bottomless crypt.
Yeah. The dire Villaman of the bottomless script.
And I have to remember the
Oh,
D on and.
and the
Yeah.
dire Villaman of and the bottomless script between which life and thought forever move, forbidden still to cross the dim dread bounds. The guardian darknesses, mute and formidable, empowered the circumscribe, the wingless spirit in the boundaries of mind and ignorance, protecting no more a dual eternity, vanished, rescinding, that
Rescinding.
rescinding,
Rescinding. That means repealing,
okay,
annulling
rescinding,
or repealing. Yes,
repealing, okay,
they vanished and they had an enormous role, but they rescinded that role.
okay,
And then he has a colon, so we have to continue two more lines.
sure. Vanished, rescinding their enormous role, once figure of creation's veil eclipse.
No,
Sorry,
ellipse.
ellipse, ellipse.
Ellipse.
Okay. Once figure of creation's vain ellipse, the expanding zero lost its giant curve.
And we'll stop there for today because you got a lot to read.
An omniscient knowing without sight or thought, an indecipherable omnipotence in
Indecipherable.
indecipherable.
Yeah, not you can't make it out. Indecipherable.
Yeah. An indecipherable omnipotence, a mystic form that could contain the worlds, yet make one human breast its passionate shrine, drew him out of his seeking loneliness into the magnitudes of God's embrace. As when a timeless eye annuls the hours, abolishing the agent and the act, so now his spirit shone out wide, blank, pure. His vacant mind became an empty slate on which the universal and soul could write. All that represses our fallen consciousness was taken from him like a forgotten load, a fire that seemed the body of a god, consumed the limiting figures of the past, and made large room for a new self to live. Eternity's contact broke the molds of sense. A greater force than the earthly held his limbs. Huge workings bared his undiscovered sheets. Strange energies wrought and screened tremendous hands, unwound the triple cord of mind and freed the heavenly wideness of a Godhead's grace. As
Gaze.
gaze, yeah, as through a dress the wearer's shape is seen, there reach through forms to the hidden absolute, a cosmic feeling and transcendent sight, increased and heightened were the instruments. Illusion lost her aggrandizing lens,
Good.
as from her failing hand the measures fell. Atomic looked the things that loomed so large. The little ego's ring could join no more in the enormous
Faces.
spaces of the self. The body now seemed only a wandering shell, his mind the many frescoed outer court of an imperishable inhabitant. His spirit breathed a superhuman air, the imprisoned deity
Oh,
rent
imprisoned, not prisoned. Prison. Think of a prison.
prison,
Imprisoned.
yeah, the
Imprisoned.
imprisoned deity rent its magic fence, as with a sound of thunder and of seas, vast barriers crashed around the huge escape, immutably coeval with the
Coeval. Yeah.
world, circle and end every hope and toil,
In,
inexorably,
inexorably.
inexorably drawn around thought and act, the fixed, immovable peripheries,
Periphery.
effaced
Peripheries.
periph-
Peripheries.
peripheries, okay.
Yes.
The fixed, immovable peripheries effaced themselves beneath the incarnate's thread. The dire Wellman
Element. Yes.
and the bottomless script between which life and thought forever move, forbidden still to cross the dim, dread bounds. The guardian darknesses mute and formidable, empowered to circumscribe the wingless spirit in the boundaries of mind and ignorance, protecting no more a dual eternity, vanished rescinding their enormous role, one's figure of creation's vain ellipse,
Ellipse, yes.
the expanding zero, lost its giant curve.
Well, it's it's very, very well done. You only missed a few words. So
Right, right.
good work, very good work today. Very
Thank
difficult.
you.
Okay.
Thanks for the That's it. Thanks for everything.